What's going on, Grizz fans? It's another edition of the OrthoSouth Grizz Countdown to Training Camp. Training camp is right around the corner. It's that time of year again, and we're breaking down all of the storylines as the Grizzlies get ready to grind it out again for another season in 23-24. I'm joined by Eric Hasseltine, radio play-by-play extraordinaire. And this subject is going to be one where, look, these guys should almost be in midseason form already. When you talk about Jaren Jackson Jr., reigning Defensive Player of the Year in the league, and Santi Aldama. Both of those guys had nice stretches this summer in FIBA World Cup. Both teams, kind of their national teams, came up a little bit short, but we saw some encouraging play from both. We saw some struggles from both. But at the end of the day, those guys should be able to hit camp almost in a decent playing shape.
Yeah, they'll be in better shape than guys that were just working out in a gym because they were actually playing real basketball games. But there's also the question of wear and tear. How hard are they going to go in camp, coming off a long training for the summer to get ready for that tournament, traveling across the world to play in that tournament? So I wouldn't expect to see too much of them in the early preseason games, but that's up to Taylor Jenkins and the staff. Obviously, we're still a little bit of ways away from that, but they are certainly going to have polished some things up and worked on some things in the offseason, as all players do. But hearing different coaches, maybe bringing some things out in their game, it never hurts to hear an extra voice.
What are some of the things, Eric, that you saw in both of those guys? I mean, at the power forward position, I had a chance to talk to them all summer long. You know, Jaren Jackson Jr. is ready to take the leap to superstar in this league now. All-star, he's already had that. Defensive Player of the Year, that's already in his bag. He's getting to the point where we can talk about him as an all-NBA type player. What did you see in Jaren in terms of the next step for his growth going into the season?
Well, I think the biggest thing was learning under Steve Kerr how to be a better roller to the basket on a high ball screen, and then being able to help side defense and continue to get better. Obviously, against the world's best, you're kind of letting your guys defend on the perimeter. He's protecting the rim, but the confidence level goes up. Putting that Team USA jersey goes a long way mentally to know that you're good enough to be there, so you're good enough to compete with the elite in the NBA as well. So I think when you watch his development, we saw it last year, his ability to understand that there's not a lot of guys in this league, if any, that can really slow him down when he squares up and attacks the rim. He doesn't have to settle for the three, but he can shoot it if it's still there. So we'll see how he balances that out. Obviously, he's going to have to learn around a new point guard for the first 25 games, but that's just a short part of the season. So his ability to kind of take the reins, like you said, and take that next step, that will be big because they're going to need him in those first 25 games if they're going to be successful. So I was encouraged by what I saw. There was still a little bit of bouts with foul trouble, but you know, that can be equated to referees that don't see him that often, maybe don't quite understand how good he is at recovering and not making as much contact as it looks like. And we saw him last year stay much more out of foul trouble than he ever had because he learned how to control his body better, and that comes with age and maturity. I mean, we forget this guy came out after 1 year at Michigan State, didn't play a ton there when he was with the Spartans, and then kind of ramped his way up, half a rookie season, and now we're starting to see the dividends of that continued grind and learning this league and being healthy. And so as long as he stays healthy, that's a good thing for the Grizz.
One of the things that Jaren told me earlier this summer was FIBA gave him a chance to play with different point guards. He played with Jalen Brunson, he played with Tyrese Halliburton. He's going to be playing with Marcus Smart, a new guy, Derrick Rose possibly as well. You're going to see him in those pick and roll combinations. Now, when you look at Santi, this is a guy that came off the bench for Spain, was one of their top 3 leading scorers off the bench.
Right. So
he did play, you know, in a role that he's probably going to play with the Grizzlies, especially once you get into the season. Where'd you see Santi's growth this summer?
Well, you just talk a year ago, prior to Summer League, so a little more than a year ago, and he looked like he was still trying to find his confidence. We saw that grow throughout the regular season. Playing with Spain, obviously it grew even more. That's what I saw when I watched him play, was a level of confidence that we haven't really seen. Now for him, the next step, I think, is learning the things that he tried last year that didn't really work. Some of those upswing moves where he lost the ball, trying to draw fouls. Just play your game. Go in and try to, you know, use that length and size, the ability to fade away over just about any defender in the league on the baseline or a mid-range jump shot, being able now to attack the basket a little bit more, maybe getting a little more upper body strength and being able to absorb that contact and bang on the inside, because his size and length is certainly an asset for the team, and it gives Jaren a little bit of an option to maybe get a couple extra minutes on the bench if he can get in there and get it going. So playing this game more confidently, and now at this level after being at a mid-major school, but now playing with a high-level team with the Grizzlies, playing on Team Spain in a high-level tournament, that's certainly going to benefit his development as well.
And I think, Eric, we're going to be able to see possibly those two guys play together now. We saw Jaren play a lot at the 5, Santi can play at the 4. We know what it looks like when they're playing behind each other, where Santi stepped up and played 20 games to start last year until Jaren got back. And then Jaren took over and Santi was the backup when Jaren came back from his surgery rehab. So I think the power forward position in Memphis is solid. It's probably the most solidified position that we're going to have going into training camp. And there's going to be a lot to look forward to. So keep it locked on Grind City Media for all of our training camp coverage. It's the OrthoSouth Grizz Countdown to Training Camp.